EPF versus the world Australian version. So we actually did some comparison between what EPF does and what other countries do. Now we're going to focus on Australia for this video. What's quite interesting is in Australia, instead of calling it EPF, they call it superannuation, right? So in short, they call it super. So what are the key main differences? Now, if you understand Australia as an economy, they have a very large middle class, which means that a lot of working adults are actually under employment. So what happens is that when they contribute into their super, or EPF equivalent, every month, there is certain maximum tax limits that they pay, right? So let's say they were at a much higher tax bracket. If they put it into their superannuation, they get taxed at a lower rate. But either way, they still get taxed, right? Of course, there are certain limits to it. One thing you realize about super in Australia, it's the behavior of how much people put into super is largely determined by their tax structure. So the tax pretty much incentivizes behavior. Right, that's the first thing. Unlike Malaysia, where it's compulsory to put it in, so far it's been tax-free. The second thing about EPF versus Australia Super, they have this thing called a SMSF, right? Self-managed super fund. So unlike EPF, where you put money in, EPF makes those investment decisions for you. How much to put in bonds, how much to put in foreign markets, how much to put in equities, and so on and so forth, right? In the case for Australia, they actually give you that option where you can take your own EPF money or super equivalent, make those investments decisions yourself, right? Which means that they have to, from the moment you start work, you got to figure out where or which fund you want to put it in. Or they even give you an option where you can invest directly into stocks, not just stocks. You can also buy collectible art or antique furniture or whatever that you treat as an investment. Of course, the catch is you cannot use it. You cannot go and buy a car and say it's an investment and then you drive it every day. I think here's a big difference, right? So really, because of that, a lot of members who put money into super, they need some form of financial education. They have to go and Google search. They have to go and find which funds perform better, what type of funds, what's an equity fund, what's a bond fund. So it's kind of forcing you to be more investment literate. I think that's really one of the big differences here. The third one is this, right? Because you are picking which funds you can put into, either industry or retail funds, which are for profit, there is no such thing as guaranteed returns, right? In the case of EPF, yes, they make those decisions for you, but you're guaranteed at least 2.5%, somewhat similar to our neighbor in Singapore, which is CPF. Now, lastly, there's one quite interesting difference. Most super funds in Australia, that means you take your retirement savings and invest in these super funds, they also include some sort of basic insurance. They include some form of insurance, of course. In our case for EPF, they now do allow you to withdraw some funds to actually for you to pay for your own insurance. So yeah, so those are the four main differences between EPF and Australian Super. I hope you enjoyed watching this video.